Okay, so we can go ahead and start. Good evening, everyone. I hope you've had a lovely week so far. So, welcome to another Thursday Cyber Shuja mentorship session. My name is Hope, and I'll be your host this night. I'll just go ahead and dive into what we'll be talking about today, which is database admin. Hello, let's kindly mute our mics as we join. Sawa. So, like I was saying, welcome to another mentorship session by Cyber Shuja. We usually do this every Thursday. So, if you're new, karibu sana. My name is Hope. If you're in the Cyber Shuja program, enjoy the session. Yeah. So, let me just go ahead and dive into the session. So, we'll be talking about something very important to us as IT professionals and even cybersecurity professionals. We'll be talking about database administration. And with us today is Martin Yegon, who is a database administrator at KRA. He also has experience as a cloud practitioner and network engineer, and we hope to get to know him better and more about this particular session. So karibu sana Martin, and feel quite welcome in the Cyber Shuja session.
Thank you so much, Hope. Let me just share my screen. Is there a chat box?
The chat isn't open to everyone, but they can use the Q&A. Yeah.
Okay. So I hope you can see my screen. Thumbs up if you can see my screen. Wonderful. So I'll be taking you through database administration. As Hope has said, I'll do a brief introduction. My name is Martin, and I'm a database administrator. I have been a database administrator for over 2 years. A bit about my experience. I've worked in the IT field for a little over 6 years now in various fields, and as a database administrator for 2+ years. So to understand database administration, you have to know what a database is. Can anyone? Okay, there's no chat box. Maybe can anyone unmute and tell me what a database is? Anyone at all?
I can remember you. You can remember me.
Caleb, go ahead. You seem to have something to tell us. Yes, Anne.
A database is a collection of data stored electronically.
That's correct. So a database is organized collection of data that is stored and accessible electronically. And it allows users and applications to efficiently retrieve, update, and manage data. That is the definition of a database. So some of the key features of a database is that it is structured. Data is usually organized into tables, that is in relational databases, and in collections for NoSQL databases. It is also accessible. Database supports querying using languages like SQL. It is persistent. It remains stored even when systems are turned off. And it is managed by DBMSs, that is a database management system. An example of a database management system is MySQL. So that brings me to what a database administrator is. A database administrator is the one who manages and maintains databases and ensures their performance, security, and availability. And the tools we use are the DBMSs I mentioned earlier, like MySQL, Postgres, Oracle, and MongoDB. And here are some more popular DBMSs. So the role of a database administrator, or the responsibilities of a database administrator, is to the database itself, which is setting up the database software and configuring it for optimal use. Performance monitoring, ensuring the database runs efficiently. Managing resources, that is the if it's stored in a VM, that's the virtual machine resources, such as storage and RAM. And optimizing queries. Backup and recovery, which is very important. Regularly backing up data and planning for recovery in case of failure or compromises. Security, that's implementing security policies to protect data from unauthorized access, data corruption, things like that. Data integrity, that is ensuring the and upgrades and patches. This is keeping up to date with the latest softwares and making sure they are secure, and they're up to date with security patches. My presentation on that is very brief.
Okay.
I don't think
Yeah, I'm also waiting some of it.
Is that a question?
Sorry, I've muted. Please, let's join the session with our mics muted, kindly.
Okay, so yeah, for me, that is pretty much what I do on a daily basis. I can't go into detail because the data I handle is quite sensitive. But yeah, that's what I do on a day-to-day basis. Is there any questions up to there? Yes, Cecilia.
Hi, I don't have a question. I was just saying, wanted to say that we're okay.
Sorry, I didn't get that.
I think she has an internet issue, but she was saying that she didn't have a question. They are okay until there.
Okay. My presentation is not that long. that is the overview of what a DBA does. Derek?
Hello.
Hello?
Okay. My question is on the performance monitoring. Can
Yes.
you hear me? Okay. So, which tools are you using to do the monitoring?
Yeah. So I can't speak specifically on the tools I use, but common tools that are used are things like Nagios and Grafana. They have agents in the server itself that monitor its performance. And then you can set up thresholds on where you would want it to alert you. I hope that answers your question.
Yes.
Yes, Ian?
Good evening. Can you
Evening.
hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. I wanted to ask if, since one of your key responsibilities is backup, data backup and recovery and configuration, I wanted to ask if you don't have to specify, but are there any automation tools or techniques that you use for rather repetitive tasks such as data backup and recovery?
So there are some tools that are used for data backup and recovery. One I know of is Commvault. Commvault can be used to back up actually most databases. Yeah, and you can set up the backup policies, either incremental or full backups. Um, I hope that no questions means everything is understood. Let me just touch on then the resources that are that you'll need to become a database administrator. First, you need to learn basics of Linux and Windows Server administration, relational and non-relational databases, and data modeling. You can learn this on W3 Schools, SQL Zoo, which one else? Okay, I'll share some resources with Hope. She can share with you later. And you should, I emphasize a lot on backup and recovery because I have been a victim of data loss where there was, I think, um, the last backup was 5 months before the data loss. So backup and recovery is something dear to my heart. And then you can do some certifications. There's the Microsoft DP 900 and the AWS Cloud Practitioner certification, which also covers databases and other things like networking and my presentation has been very brief. Thank you all for joining and listening to me. I want to Ian, do you have another question?
Yes, I do. Okay, since you've mentioned
Yes, go ahead.
data loss, my question is
Yes.
is there any type of cyber attack that you have personally faced?
Personally, well, in my field, it's constantly attacks. I can't go into specifics, but I have seen a lot of DDoS, SQL injection. Yeah, things like that.
Okay.
Yeah, I think with that, I can hand it back over to Hope. Oh, no, it's fine, Kennedy. You can still ask the question.
Hi, team. Hi, am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Yes, you're audible.
Though I have joined late. So I have missed the session. So mine is just to thank Martin. I think you remember me. Hey, Martin.
Yes.
Yeah, it is me, Kennedy Lubisia. So it's my pleasure to meet you again here, even if I have missed the
Nice
session.
to meet you again.
Yes, so I think you will share with me the presentation. So I apologize.
I will share with Hope. We'll share with
Okay,
everyone.
thank you. Okay,
No problem.
mine is just that one. To appreciate you. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Kennedy. So there is a recording that is usually up on YouTube. By next week, you can be able to review the session. Yes, Derek.
Okay, it's me again. I don't know if I'm disturbing, but I wanted to know more about. Okay, Martin, a typical day, a typical busy day in Akare. How does it look like for a DBA?
Sorry, could you speak up kidogo?
Okay, I was asking, how does a typical day, maybe a busy day for a DBA at KRA, maybe dealing with requests from different departments, maybe feeding or providing data maybe to data analysts, maybe different departments. How does it look like for you as a DBA at KRA? Because KRA I think KRA is dealing with a lot of user data. So how does
So a typical day for me usually starts pretty early in the morning, before 8, because I have to check if systems are up, so that when people get to the office, they find systems are up and working, so that they can go on with their day. And then after that, I would check emails. So for us, we have a pretty defined policy on how operations are done. So all requests come through me, through my supervisor. And the requests come from their supervisor. So they trickle down until the last level. Sorry. So normally I'll just check my emails, see what requests I've gotten, if it's granting users permissions, downtime, data requests for people like the analyst, as you mentioned. So I would just go through one by one, giving requests, and then there's also what's it called? Releases or upgrades to a system that usually come. Those ones are usually scheduled, so you would wait for the time they're scheduled for and then do the upgrade. If it's something like iTax, the users would be informed, which is the Kenyan people, and so on. Is there anything you wanted to know from that?
I think that's fair, and I appreciate.
Okay. Yes, John?
Okay, thank you very much. So, okay, I'm just asking as a beginner in the database field.
Okay.
I've noticed most of database, the people dealing with database have a lot of secrecy. How are you learning if all this information are being hidden from people? Thank you.
Well, it's necessary. Data protection is something that can cost you your job. So people tend to be very quiet about it. Like, I wanted to show you a practical scenario I could use, but I really cannot. So how we learn is through certifications and hands-on experience through labs. Yeah, labs mostly, because I don't think no one will allow you to access their data for free. And no one will allow you to
Okay, thank you.
handle their data without experience. Like for us, an example, just for us, we don't have interns in our department for just that case, because they can't be held accountable. Mtu atakuja maybe 3 months ameenda, hawezi mpea all access to a database.
Okay, thank you. So, which certifications are having this labs where someone can practice? Because we are specifically dealing with the cybersecurity in this our course.
So AWS have very good labs where you can test they have all kinds of database engines that you can run on their cloud. You can do the AWS Cloud Practitioner certification using a free tier account. Also, you can just have a home lab, which is how I like to do things, and use open source softwares.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay. There are no more questions. Over to you, Hope.
Just before we let you off the hook, so maybe something I'd like to ask is what are the kind of security practices, just generally, not specific to any database or so on, some of the security practices that you think a database administrator should be conversant with?
So when it comes to security practices, I always work with zero trust, as John here was mentioning. We don't like giving privileges willy-nilly. There has to be justification for your access. So we work with zero trust and least privilege. And again, always back up your data. Always. But for securing servers, we work with our security team. We have a dedicated security team who do their own analysis and give us recommendations. So maybe next time I can invite one of our security team to talk to you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Jesse?
Hi Martin.
Hello.
So you've touched on security. So my question is, not that I'm going to try to hack KRA anytime in the near future, but what if I find a flaw in you guys' security systems? Let's say ITAX security systems, and maybe I'd like to reach out just to point that out without getting arrested. Is it possible that I might be, you guys would see that I was of help, or maybe I was just a liability and actions needed to be taken on me instead of the systems?
No. So any help to us is greatly appreciated. We have a system. I can't remember what it's called, but we have a system where the public can give us recommendations on how to better our systems or our services. It's up to you. And they also give out rewards to people whose suggestions have been implemented. Like recently, they were doing a promo for, was it eTeams, and they were asking for people to give out video ideas, and the winner got, I think, it was either 50 or 200,000.
So is that an encouragement to look for vulnerabilities, or how are we doing this exactly?
You can look for vulnerabilities, but you can't test.
Okay.
I don't know how you would be able to identify without
Test.
penetrating our systems.
Yeah, that's the question, because in order to find vulnerabilities, you need to do some pen testing, and I don't think of another logical way than just going hands-on into you guys' system. But I think that is maybe dangerous, maybe for the common mwananchi.
Yes, it could be. If you are caught manipulating our data, that could have jail time.
Okay, what about you're not manipulating the data, just like normal vulnerability testing, like from the promo you said earlier?
Yes. So we usually announce if we have ongoing what's it called, hackathons, and people usually join through, I've forgotten the name of the system. I'll check and then share with Hope. We have a system that's publicly available where people can join in these activities.
Okay, thank you.
But
That's
I
the main
can't
question.
really speak on that. Maybe maybe someone, if hope, I'll suggest you to use some names so that we can get someone from our security. Yes, Zachariah.
Hi, Martin.
Hello.
Okay, just to confirm, now that you are in the field of the database, how do you handle especially external auditors who might need to access your data for the auditing? How do you handle such?
So yes, we do have external auditors who come once in a while. Not sure if I can say how we handle that. I'm not sure if I can talk about that as Zachariah. But let's just say some of them have to get special access. Kevin? Yeah.
Kevin, go ahead.
Kindly, I was to ask in regards to the person who was arrested in regards to the KRA hack sometime back in around 2019, 2018. Huh? I was to ask this. Was the guy, after somebody or a hacker knows about vulnerabilities about the KRA, why is it he or she is arrested, yet instead of upgrading your systems, he or she is arrested? Secondly, I was to request this in terms of database of the people you have in your database as KRA. Why is it that it's also hard for you as an entity or a government corporate that for you, you don't have to have secure systems, yet when they are hacked, you tend to imprison people? Thank you.
I didn't get the last part of the second question. On the guy who was arrested, I can't really talk about him. That one, I can't really talk about him at all. But for us, for any government entity to acquire systems, they have to go through a tendering process, and any tendering process has requirements, and most requirements are based on user requirements. So the infrastructure is just handed over by the vendors, and we implement most of what the vendor has recommended. Kevin, does that help in any way?
That's the second need. I was asking you as an entity as KRA, a program over into hack one the same way as Safaricom does have its M-Pesa entity into hack one, where in the essence where somebody can breach into the system, get vulnerabilities and report to you. But yet when somebody gets a vulnerability into KRA and gets into it, he's arrested. Yet that's a talent that's going to jail for vain because he got he or she got a vulnerability, and yet unto you, instead of seeing that as an vulnerability for you to rectify as security measure, you just arrest him and he or she goes to jail.
Yeah, I can't really talk about that case, but
Martin, if I may give my
Any
2
type
cents.
of attempt to,
Sorry.
yes.
Go ahead. Yeah, just finish off. Sorry. Go ahead.
Any sorry, I've lost my train of thought. Hope just continue.
Pole. I was just going to say that I think this is also a discussion that has come up in some of our data protection sessions. So it's as simple as it's unlawful. If you do not have a contract to do a penetration test, a vulnerability assessment on someone's system, someone's website, a company's systems or websites, databases, whatever it is, whatever assets this company has, and you do not have the contract that authorizes you to do those tests, it is unlawful. It doesn't matter if you're doing it for the sake of helping them, if you're doing it for the sake of learning. If they have not given you the authority to do it, it is simply unlawful. Yeah.
Thank you. Naftal.
Okay, hello Martin. I hope you can hear me. So I have
Yes, I can hear you.
I have 2 questions, and so with this era of AI, so how do you utilize AI in daily activities as a database administrator, and maybe how is KRA implementing AI towards better database administration? Because in a way, I've had cases of maybe autonomous databases, so maybe you can enlighten about that, and also maybe to inquire maybe on whether you store your data on-prem or on cloud, and on the case of data residency, how do you handle that as a government institution? Thank you.
Okay, so I'll start with the question about AI. So AI, if you know how government processes works, they're very slow to adoption. So I'm not seeing a lot of AI being adopted in any government institution for a while. Personally, I use AI quite often. It helped me in also making this presentation, so that can tell you something about that. The second question was about where we store our data. Let's see. So we have a hybrid architecture. So some on-prem, some on cloud. But that's as much as I can talk about where we store data. Question, I'm sorry. Naftal, you asked. I don't remember your last question.
Okay, it was just the 2. It's fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Aaron. Aaron Langat. Okay, I can't hear him. Can anyone hear him?
No.
No, we
Okay,
can.
Jesse, you can proceed.
Yeah, so I have another question. So, as a database admin, I see you're very tight-lipped about some questions you're asking. So, since you know a lot about the inner workings of KRA, are you paranoid sometimes like knowing a lot of things about the how our government handles Kenyan data. Don't you fear for your life sometimes? Maybe like just being paranoid, maybe being kidnapped, being forced to spill some information, some important information, and things like that. Oh yeah, and how does it affect your
Okay, I've
mental
never
health?
had. So for me, I don't really have. I've never seen it that way. I usually view it as I have a responsibility to the Kenyan people to protect their data, and we have a lot of rules, policies, uh, documents that bar me from speaking about a lot of these things. And usually I don't talk on behalf of KRA. There's an entire department that handles the publicity and public view of KRA. So I usually can't respond, but there's a team that can.
Oh, okay. So I have I have at least two more questions. So regarding your line
Okay.
of work, how would you rate since you talked about your day-to-day activities, and since databases, dealing with databases that have static data, you don't have to, aside from doing upgrades for sometimes you don't have to do a lot of things. So do you think that being a database admin, maybe for KRA, is maybe very taxing on maybe your mental health? Like, is it a lot of work to do? Like when you go into the office, do you have a lot to do, or just some few basic tasks, like repetitive tasks? And the other question is, so you're a database admin for KRA. So do database admins for other government organizations, is there a crossover between you guys sometimes? Maybe a database admin for IEBC and a database admin for KRA, or is strictly two different lines of work? Yeah, thank you.
So as a government employee, you're under the mercy of the government and how they deploy you. So for me, I have been deployed in KRA, but they can see fit to move me to any other government institution. Also, when it comes to the work I do, some days are freer than others. Some days there's a lot to do. I'm usually working till midnight, and I have to be up by 6 or 7. But those odd working hours makes me a different kind of employee. So I don't have to go to the office. Sometimes I work from home. But since KRA has a lot of systems and work with a lot of vendors, you tend to work with a lot of people in the field. Working with people like Safaricom on some systems, working with international companies like Oracle, IBM. So you tend to know people through your work, and you learn a lot from these organizations, what new technologies they're offering, because they're always trying to sell to the government. The government pays well for these standards, and people are always trying to get the government to buy something new. So we tend to learn a lot. Like Oracle invited us, it was in January, to showcase their new no-code application builder, which only stores everything, including the application in the database. So I don't know. I feel like this is an opportunity that a lot of people would like to have. I don't remember who I was answering. Jesse, was it you?
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, Matthew.
Good good evening. I have 3 questions. So the first question is, can you explain how you decide which, or let me start from here. What is the difference between a database model and an ORM pattern? That is the first question. So the second question is, explain how you decide which database model or ORM pattern to use so that our database stays fast, is efficient, and can be scaled easily. And then the last question is, what security practices do you use when you design your database model or ORM setup to protect it against threats like SQL injection, unauthorized access, and data leaks?
Martin, are you on the call? I don't know who'd asked a question.
Yes. Can you hear me? Sorry, I was
Yeah.
muted.
Oh, now we can hear you.
Okay. So he had asked difference between database model and ORM. Did I get that right? Who had asked?
Yes.
The question
Okay.
was, what's the difference between a database model and an ORM pattern?
What's the difference? I'm not sure about that question. I'll have to check some of my resources and get back to you on that.
Okay, have you ever worked with any ORM model, for instance, like SQL Alchemy or Tortoise?
Yes, I have.
So
Yes, I have.
now using from that, so how do you decide which ORM pattern or model to use for your project? Like for instance, okay, I know you might not answer the one for KRA, but how do you decide which model or ORM pattern to use per project? And also, how do you secure it against external attacks or threats?
I think this question would be best suited for a developer. Yeah, I might not be the right person to answer that for you.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Martin. Thank you also,
you.
guys, for the questions. So I think you could also link us maybe with mentors in the security, and I've seen some interest also in the development sector, and we can pull them in for some of these specific questions. So maybe just your last sentiments or comments on the topic, and then I can give my own and bring the session to a wrap.
Thank you so much, Hope, for inviting me for this session. It's been really interactive. I'm so happy to see so many people interested in the database fields and KRA as an as an entity. You're welcome to follow me on LinkedIn and ask further questions if you feel like I have not fully answered you. Please, no questions about your tax penalties. I will refer you back to our iTax website. I am not a tax expert. Also, I think I touched on the database admin learning path and some certifications you would need to acquire before you become a database admin. And I would highly encourage everyone to at least look at some of the resources available, and any questions while doing that is recommended. Just come to me with any question. I can connect you also with a few people in my network. Other than that, thank you, Hope, for this invitation. Over to you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Martin. Thank you for your time, for just taking us through what our understanding of a database is, what it means to be a database administrator. Thank you also for just being able to share with us, even with the criticality of the kind of data you are dealing with. I think food for thought with our next mentors, we can kind of hide where they work because that is becoming quite the focus. But I hope we've been able to understand and pick up something. Something else we'd request if you can share the slides with resources of where to learn, some of the certifications that are important, how to even practice and gain experience even before you get into the job that you want or you're targeting. We'd really appreciate that. So if you could just share those resources and then I can share them with the Cyber Shuja team. For the participants, thank you so much for participating. Thank you for your questions and making this session very engaging. So thank you, everyone. Have a lovely night. See you next Thursday. Thank you. Bye.